Now we will talk about rules for naming our variables. Okay, so we have been assigning names such as a equals 5, or b equals 3.14. So a, b, these are all names of variables, right? These are all the names of variables. Now these names, there are rules that govern the naming of variables. Okay, so things you can and cannot do when you name variables. So when you create variables, okay, the name of the variable must start with either a letter or an underscore. Okay, so you can say things like a equals 5. You can also say age equals 5. That's okay. You can say underscore age equals 5 as well. That's also okay. What you cannot do is you cannot start this with anything else. You cannot say, for example, you cannot start the name of the variable with a number. You cannot say, for example, 0 age, bad choice of number, 1 age equals 5. That is not valid. That is invalid. Okay? Cannot do that. You also cannot start a variable name with a special symbol. So you cannot say, for example, hashtag age. That doesn't make that is not valid. Okay, not valid. So the name of the alphabet, whatever the name is, sorry, the name of the variable must start with either a letter or an underscore. Okay. The second point is, that's the first point. The second point is the the entire the variable name must only contain letters, underscores, and numbers. Okay. So examples of uh, valid names for variables would be age, age 1, that's valid. Okay, because numbers are allowed but not in the beginning. Okay, the first it must start with a letter underscore, but then it can have any it can have any combination of letters, variables, and underscores. This is also valid. Age underscore and underscore, let's say maximum age, okay, equals, I don't know, 70 or something. This is an underscore. Okay, underscore. This is an underscore, not a dash. Okay, dash, that's an underscore. So the variable may contain letters, underscores, and numbers, but it must not start with a number. It only starts with a letter or an underscore. Okay. Spaces are not allowed. Okay. So your variable names, okay, your variable names can be any number of characters. So you can have like variable names that are very descriptive. Okay. So you can say things like number of, let's say you want to say number of students. Okay. Number of students. If you want to have a variable name like this, number of students equals to, let's say, 100. If you want to have variable like this, you cannot have spaces in between. Okay. One of the things that people do is use underscores instead. So number underscore of underscore students. Okay. So your variable names can be, for all intents and purposes, they can be as long as you want. Not too long, by the way, but they can be pretty long. Okay. It doesn't have to be ABC. It doesn't have to be, XYZ, like algebra. It can be any like it can be quite long. For example, this number of students, this entire thing is a single variable. Okay. The name of that variable is number underscore of underscore students. No spaces allowed. Spaces are not allowed. If you want to have a variable name that you want to sort of simulate spaces, you'd have underscores. That's normally how people do it. There are other ways of doing it as well. Something called camel case, in which you capitalize every starting word, starting from the second word. So you'd say things like number, no spaces, no underscores, obviously, off with a capital O, students with a capital S. That's another way. Okay. So if you have a variable name that contains multiple words, because you're not allowed to use spaces, you can either capitalize some of the words like so, or you can use underscores, okay, between the words. That's the third rule. The final rule is the name of the variable must not be one of those built-in keywords in Python. Okay, it cannot be one of these. And by the way, this list is partial. It's not an exhaustive list, but it gives you an idea of uh, what the keywords are that you cannot use as a variable name. Some of the things you can already sort of recognize, right? False. You cannot use false as a variable name, right? You cannot use true as a variable name, right? So you can't do that. Okay. So what happens when you try doing that? Let's see. So when you let's say try to have a variable name, let's say you say true equals 5. Python complains. It says cannot assign to true because true is a keyword. You cannot create a variable called true. Okay.